Last night was one of the most deadly escalations of war in Ukraine, a brutal reminder that despite talk of peace, Putin's war machine remains completely committed to the destruction of Ukraine rather than diplomacy. On July the 31st and into August the 1st, Kiev has experienced one of the worst attacks since the start of Russia's full-scale invasion. Over 300 drones and missiles were launched by Russian forces, and the death toll stands at 31, with 159 people injured, among them 16 children. These aren't abstract statistics. And one of the victims was Leah Stepanchuk, a young patrol officer whose body was recovered from the rubble of a shattered residential district. The point is that despite all the comments that you see in the comments section, in my comments section, which try to claim that these civilian deaths are collateral damage and that the Russian drones and missiles are really targeting military sites, it simply isn't true. Russia's onslaught hit 27 sites across Kiev, primarily targeting civilian infrastructure. A children's hospital in Shevchenkivskaya had its windows blown out. A mosque and Islamic cultural centre were damaged. A school, a residential block, railway lines. No legitimate military targets, no tactical value, only terror. And this is Putin's message to the world, that pain is a weapon and civilian resilience must be broken. And Russia's Ministry of Defence claims it struck military targets, airfields, ammunition depots, industries tied to Ukraine's defence sector. It's a lie. The attack struck neighbourhoods, classrooms, family homes. It cannot be excused as collateral damage. It's a deliberate psychological warfare. And in parallel, Moscow now claims it seized control of Chasiv Yar, a shattered town in Donetsk, and Ukraine has dismissed the claim as pure propaganda. And after 16 months of grinding urban attrition, it's not even clear what's left to control. The Kremlin plays to domestic audiences and global cynics, not to facts. Ukraine too, of course, has escalated, not by targeting civilians, but by striking a military electronics plant in Penza, deep inside Russia, and the facility produces command systems for Russian combat units. This was not revenge. It's a tactical response, part of Ukraine's increasingly bold drone campaign aimed at degrading Russia's war-making capacity. And this carnage follows a sharp escalation in political theatre. President Trump has set a deadline of August the 8th for a ceasefire deal. If none is reached, he vows to impose severe tariffs and further sanctions. He's described Russia's behaviour as disgusting and hinted at secondary sanctions against nations trading with Russia, including China and India. But even as Trump draws red lines, Putin responds with drone swarms. Is Trump bluffing? His critics say the tariffs are posturing, not policy. His allies say they're the only credible leverage left. In truth, the Kremlin is testing American resolve, and as Meghan Mobbs, the daughter of the US Special Envoy Keith Kellogg, warns, we must not be found wanting. Despite Trump's instincts to cut military aid, a powerful Senate committee has defied him, passing a bill with $1 billion for Ukraine. It's a clear signal that Congress doesn't trust the president's deal-making instincts when lives are on the line. There's a growing impatience not just with Russia, but with Trump's wobbly ultimata strategy. And in the middle of this war, Ukraine is also trying to repair its democratic institutions. Under pressure from both protesters and EU allies, the Rada has voted to restore the independence of two key anti-corruption bodies. This is critical not only for Ukraine's internal integrity, but also for its EU accession hopes. Kyiv must prove it's not just fighting a war for survival, but building a future that's worthy of peace. But we mustn't lose sight of other movements. Chinese warships have docked in Vladivostok ahead of a joint drill process. This isn't neutral diplomacy, it's an axis of revisionist states, Moscow, Beijing, Tehran, signalling solidarity. It complicates any hope for a clean Western victory or a quick ceasefire. August the 8th looms. Trump wants a deal, Putin wants dominance, Ukraine wants justice, independence and peace. Zelensky has said, forcing Moscow to make peace, all the tools needed are in the hands of our partners. And he's right, but so far those hands have trembled. As Kyiv buries its dead and declares a day of mourning, the question remains, how many more days of mourning must there be before peace is not simply demanded but enforced?